What kind of manager leaves the front door unlocked at 2 in the morning? Xavier Ashby mumbled under his breath as he stepped out of his dusty pickup truck and into the dim glow of gas station number 9. 14 total stations under his ownership, and if the security camera footage from last week hadn't caught a stranger walking straight into this one unchallenged, he might have never caught on. No alarm. No employee in sight. Just an unlocked door and a guy wandering around the aisles for almost 10 minutes before leaving empty-handed. That had kept Xavier up for 3 nights in a row. He bought the chain 6 years ago from a retiring couple who built it from scratch. It was a solid small-town brand, nothing fancy, just clean, safe, and reliable. But lately, things had gotten sloppy. Customer calls about rude workers. Supplies going missing. And now this. He'd never personally met most of the night shift workers. They'd been hired and trained by the store managers while he focused on expansion and paperwork. District managers filtered reports to him, but he didn't trust filtered reports anymore. Not after what he saw. So Xavier grew out his beard, slapped on some thick-rimmed glasses, and wore a faded hoodie and work boots. He registered under the fake name, Rick, through an open hiring ad online night shift trainee, 3 nights a week. Nobody questioned him. Nobody recognized him. And why would they? He never showed his face at store level. Not once. Tonight was shift number 1. Hey! A girl called from behind the register. You Rick? She couldn't have been more than 20. Hair in a messy ponytail, sleeves pushed up, energy drink half finished on the counter. Her name tag said? Tessa. Yeah. Xavier nodded. First night. I guess I'm shadowing you? Yup, she said, not looking up from her phone. Just give me a sec. She finished scrolling, set the phone aside and gestured toward the back. Clock in. Then we'll go over cooler restock. Easy stuff. The place felt dead. No music. Lights half dimmed. A guy in a dark hoodie loitered near the energy drinks for way too long before walking out without buying anything. Tessa didn't even glance at him. Xavier hesitated. Shouldn't the door be locked? She gave a bored shrug. We're 24 hours. Yeah, but no buzzer entry? No night window? He asked. Nah. That stuff's busted. Manager said corporate won't approve repairs. Xavier's jaw clenched. That wasn't true. No one had ever requested repairs for security at this location. He followed her to the back, passing shelves that hadn't been cleaned in days. The mop bucket in the corner smelled awful. I'm guessing we're short-staffed? He asked. Always, Tessa said, grabbing a pallet of sodas. People quit. Manager doesn't replace him. Just tells us to pick up extra shifts. Must be rough. Tessa shrugged again, but this time her voice dropped. It's not the work, it's the hours. It's always me or Donnie. Never both. So if one of us has to use the bathroom, or deal with a gas pump issue, the store's wide open. Donnie? Other night guy. You'll love him, she said flatly. He'll probably show up high. If he shows up at all. Xavier stared at her. And management's okay with that? No one cares. District guy comes by once a month, walks in, grabs a free drink, and leaves. Xavier didn't say anything. He just lifted the sodas and followed her. An hour later, Donnie showed up 15 minutes late, eyes bloodshot, and reeking of weed. He gave Xavier a lazy nod, then flopped behind the register chair and pulled out his phone. You the new guy? Donnie asked, barely glancing up. Yeah. Cool. Word of advice, don't try too hard. Nobody gives a damn. Tessa rolled her eyes. He's not wrong. Xavier watched as Donnie ignored a customer waiting at the register until the man cleared his throat twice. When Donnie finally rang him up, he got the change wrong. The customer left without saying a word. You always leave the door unlocked like this? Xavier asked quietly. Why not? Donnie muttered. Ain't like anyone's gonna rob us. We ain't got nothing worth stealing. Xavier's stomach tightened. At 2:30, a car pulled up fast and parked crooked. A tall man in a dark hoodie rushed inside, making both Tessa and Donnie freeze. "Bathroom," the man said. Donnie just nodded, eyes half shut. "Back there," Tessa pointed, clearly nervous. The man walked through the store like he owned it. Xavier stepped closer to Tessa. "You okay?" She nodded, but her arms were stiff. 15 long minutes passed before the man came out and left again without buying anything. Donnie looked up. "That's the third time this week." "Same guy." "And you didn't report it?" Xavier asked. "To who?" Donnie scoffed. "Manager don't care." Tessa sighed and leaned on the counter. "We just keep our heads down. That's how you survive the night shift." Xavier didn't sleep when his shift ended at 5. He sat in his truck a few blocks away, watching the store. Watching Tessa lock up. Alone. This wasn't just about one unlocked door anymore. This was a store left wide open, run by 2 burned-out kids, with zero backup, no structure, and no sense of safety. And somehow, they were still showing up every night. That hit him harder than he expected. He had to see more. One night wasn't enough. He signed up for 2 more shifts that same morning. Xavier returned for his second shift just before midnight. Same hoodie, same name tag. The parking lot asphalt still cracked under his boots, and the flickering streetlight above Pump 3 hadn't been fixed. No surprise there. Inside, the air was heavy with the same stale scent of old coffee and something faintly chemical. The radio buzzed low behind the counter, playing a song no one seemed to notice. Tessa was already stocking candy bars, her expression tighter than last night. "You're early," she said without looking up. "Figured I'd get a head start," Xavier replied. She straightened up, wiped her hands on her apron, and gave him a slow glance. "You sure this is the shift you want to be on?" "Why?" She hesitated, then waved him behind the counter. "Start by counting the register." "Donnie's late again, and we've got to prep the safe drop." Xavier nodded, stepping behind the counter. The drawer was light. Too light. He tallied the bills and coins while Tessa fished a crumpled deposit bag from beneath the drawer. "We're short," he said quietly. "Yeah," she answered, her voice flat. "We're always short." He looked up. "You mean people are stealing?" "Sometimes. But not always customers." She didn't elaborate. Didn't need to. The front door chimed, and Xavier turned. A woman stepped in, middle-aged, wearing a faded jacket and dragging a laundry basket filled with plastic bottles. Her fingers were red from the cold. "Back room's full again," she said, not unkindly. Tessa gave a tired nod. "All right, just leave 'em near the back shelf. The machine's offline again." The woman grunted and shuffled past. "Does she come by often?" Xavier asked. "Every other night," Tessa said. "She's harmless. Used to work at the bakery down the street before it shut down." He watched the woman disappear behind a row of canned soup. "Why's the bottle return machine always broken?" "Because the repair guy doesn't come unless the manager calls twice. And she doesn't bother." Xavier stepped back, watching the register screen. The interface hadn't been updated in years. The inventory system lagged between scans. 3 customers came and went, one of them paying in coins. Tessa handled it all while glancing at the door every few seconds. At 12:30, Donnie slouched in with a half-eaten burrito and earbuds in both ears. He didn't acknowledge anyone. Just walked behind the counter, dropped into the stool, and pulled his hoodie low over his face. "You're late again," Tessa said. "Traffic," he muttered. Xavier stared at him. "At midnight?" Donnie didn't answer. Tessa leaned in slightly. "You're not working the register tonight. You're stocking. Go pull the truck load from the back." Donnie didn't move. "I said go stock," she repeated louder this time. He stood slowly, muttering something under his breath as he left through the back door. "Sorry," Tessa said once he was gone. He's gotten worse lately. Last week he left the store unattended while I was taking trash out. Xavier leaned on the counter. Why hasn't he been replaced? She gave a crooked half laugh. We're not allowed to fire him. Manager says we're short already, and it's easier to keep him than train someone new. Who makes those calls? Store manager Claire. She works mornings. Barely talks to us. Just leaves notes. Xavier's eyes narrowed. Notes? In a binder. Every shift has instructions. Sometimes stuff's crossed out and rewritten. No one really knows who's doing what. He filed that away. At 1 a.m., a group of teenagers parked outside and started making noise near the pumps. Tessa tensed the moment she saw them. Great, she muttered. It's them again. Problem? They hang out here, mess with the windshield squeegees, sometimes throw stuff. Last week one of them spit on the glass. Did you call anyone? No point. They leave before anyone shows up. Xavier stepped outside. The cold bit through his sleeves. The teens went quiet when he approached. Evening, he said. One of them laughed. You work here? Just started, Xavier said evenly. Need you guys to stop messing with the gear. Store policy. Store policy? Another one echoed, mimicking his tone. Store policy says I can clean my windshield. With 6 squeegees at once? Xavier asked, raising an eyebrow. The tallest boy stepped forward. What, you gonna call the cops? No. I'll just record you, Xavier said, pulling out his phone. The boys hesitated. You do that, we'll wait till you're off and follow you home, one said. Xavier kept recording. That a threat? The group backed off, one swearing under his breath. They got in the car and peeled out of the lot. When he walked back inside, Tessa looked shaken. They've never said that before, she whispered. You should have reported it, he said. To who? Her voice cracked. We don't even have a working panic button. The last one got ripped out during inventory. He looked at the counter. Sure enough, the base where the silent alarm button should be was empty. Xavier took a deep breath. Has anyone ever been hurt? Not yet, she said. But I don't know how long that'll last. At 2, Donnie returned from the back with 1 box of snacks and a bag of chips he was already eating. That all? Xavier asked. I ain't lifting the soda crates. Not my job. That's exactly your job, Tessa said, stepping forward. You ain't the boss of me, Donnie shot back. Xavier stepped between them. Go stock the soda. Now. Donnie stared at him. Who the hell are you? I'm the guy who's been covering your work all night. Donnie laughed once. Whatever. You're just another loser with a name tag. He wandered to the back, crumpling the chip bag and chucking it on the floor as he went. You see this? Tessa asked quietly. This is what we get for showing up. Xavier felt something shift behind his ribs. A pressure building. He looked at the clock. Almost 3. At 3:30, a man came in wearing a construction vest and carrying a thermos. He greeted Tessa by name, bought coffee, and dropped a few bills in the tip jar. Tell your boss they need to fix that bathroom door, he said. Still doesn't lock. I will, she replied. After he left, Xavier asked, Broken bathroom lock? Yup. Been like that since before I started. He walked to the back, checked it himself. The latch was snapped clean off. Anyone could walk in. Anyone. By 5, the store was quiet again. Donnie had disappeared into the storage area and hadn't come back out. Tessa was counting bills for the drop, her hands moving slowly. You look exhausted, Xavier said. I've worked 6 nights in a row. She didn't look up. They said if I take a day off, I lose hours next week. That legal? No idea. But I need the job. He watched her for a moment, then said, What would make this place better? She blinked. What? If someone actually listened. What would help? She hesitated. 2 people working every night. Real training. Panic button. Security cams pointed the right way. Door buzzer fixed. And Donnie gone. That's a long list. She laughed once dryly. It's not even half. The sky outside began to lighten. You quitting already? She asked. Not yet, he said. One more shift. She nodded. You're tougher than you look. As Xavier walked out into the cold dawn, he made a silent promise to himself. He wasn't waiting for one more shift to fix this. He was just waiting for the right moment to tell them who he really was. Xavier's third night started with rain. Heavy drops hammered down on the roof of the gas station like fists, drumming a steady rhythm as he stepped inside. The floor was slick near the entrance, a yellow caution cone placed half-heartedly by the mop closet. One of the ceiling tiles above the coffee station had started to darken from a slow leak. No one had put a bucket underneath. Tessa stood behind the counter with her hood up, sleeves damp, and a plastic bag tied around her shoes. She didn't look surprised to see him. Thought you might not come back, she said. Figured I'd see how you survive a storm, Xavier replied, pulling off his soaked sweatshirt. She nodded at the register. You're on the drawer tonight. Donnie's on truck duty if he shows. Xavier clocked in and took his place behind the counter. The drawer was already open, bills laid out haphazardly like someone had rifled through them. Receipts were crumpled and stuck to the bottom. He started organizing in silence. Tessa leaned against the side wall. Claire came in this morning. Finally looked at the schedule. Told me I'm not getting Sunday off after all. Did she say why? She said I didn't request it in writing. I did. On the clipboard in the office. You pressed the issue? I asked again. She said I was welcome to find a different job. Xavier kept his tone even. Sounds like she's making herself hard to replace. Tessa gave a bitter laugh. She's not worried. Her sister's married to the district guy. Before Xavier could respond, the door opened and Donnie slouched in, soaked through and carrying a small duffel bag. His eyes were glassy, and his jaw moved like he was chewing air. Tessa stepped around the counter immediately. What are you on? Donnie blinked. Nothing. It's just weed. That's not weed, she snapped. Your pupils are blown out. I'm fine. No, you're not, she said, voice rising. You're not stocking anything tonight. You're going home. Make me, he said, stepping closer. Xavier moved between them without hesitation. You're done, Donnie. Go home. Donnie's expression twisted. Who the hell do you think you are? You want to find out? Xavier said, his voice low and flat. Donnie glanced between them, then turned and stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. Tessa stood frozen, her jaw tight. He's going to come back. He always comes back. Not this time. He'll text Claire. She'll say we overreacted. Let her, Xavier said. You did the right thing. The next few hours passed in tense silence. The storm kept most customers away, but the few who came in looked miserable. One man slipped on the wet tile and cursed loud enough to shake the back wall. Tessa handed him a paper towel and apologized like she was the one who brought the rain. At 1:30, a white van pulled up. The driver stayed inside, engine running. A tall man in a delivery jacket walked in with a clipboard. Back door unlocked? He asked. Tessa shook her head. We don't unlock for unscheduled deliveries. The man frowned. I do Wednesday night drops. Check your log. She looked at Xavier, uncertain. I'll go with him, Xavier offered. They circled around the side of the building where the light above the back door flickered. Xavier unlocked it with the master key and followed him inside. The man unloaded 2 crates of snacks and a single box of cleaning supplies. New guy? He asked. Just started. The driver nodded. This store wasn't always like this. Used to be tight. Now half the time I don't even get a signature. Xavier signed the sheet and walked him out, locking the door behind them. Back inside, Tessa was wiping down the coffee station. "Hey," Xavier said gently. "You okay?" "I'm fine." "You sure?" She stopped wiping. "I'm tired of everyone just assuming we'll keep taking it. Every night. No support. No coverage. No protection." He didn't push. At 2:15, a man walked in wearing a garbage bag poncho and carrying a small, barking dog zipped into his hoodie. He looked soaked and furious. "You got any dry socks?" he asked. Tessa pointed to the far aisle. Bottom row, left side. He stomped over, grabbed a pair, and dropped them on the counter. "Bathroom open?" he asked. "Right side, past the cooler." He disappeared for 10 minutes. When he came back, he'd left the wet socks on the sink and tracked mud all the way to the register. Xavier rang him up without comment. The man paid in cash and left with a grunt. Tessa looked at the muddy footprints. "Guess I'll mop again." Xavier stopped her. "I'll do it." She didn't argue. While he was mopping, a silver sedan pulled up fast and idled near the door. 2 men got out and stood by the entrance, glancing around. One came in, the other stayed outside. Xavier watched through the glass as the guy inside scanned the store. He wasn't buying anything. Just walking slow. Looking. Tessa stiffened. "You know him?" Xavier asked quietly. "He came in last week. Cornered me by the cooler. Asked if I liked working alone. Did you report it?" "I told Claire. She said unless he touched me, there's nothing she can do." Xavier moved around the counter fast and stepped into the man's path. "Can I help you?" The man looked him up and down. "Just browsing." "We're not open for browsing at 2:30 in the morning." The man's eyes narrowed. "You new here?" "Yeah. And I don't play games." The man turned slowly and walked out. Xavier watched him climb back into the sedan. The car didn't move for another 5 minutes. Then it pulled away. Tessa exhaled. "I'm done. I'm not doing another night of this. You've put up with worse. Doesn't mean I should've." Xavier nodded once. "Can you cover the register for 5 minutes? I need to make a call." She looked at him. "To who?" He didn't answer. He stepped into the back office and shut the door behind him. The desk was cluttered with old receipts and a broken fan. He moved aside a pile of envelopes and found the binder. The shift logs were inconsistent. Some pages had entries. Others were blank. One had a scratch out over Tessa's name with a note. "Remind her she's not in charge." It was initialed C. He flipped to the scheduling section. Tessa had requested Sunday off in clear handwriting. The note was dated 2 weeks earlier. He took a photo of it with his phone. Then he dialed a number from memory. "Yeah?" a man's voice answered. "This is Xavier." A silence. "Sir? I need you at store 9. Right now. Bring your badge and a termination form. You want me to, I want Donnie gone. I want Claire gone. And I want every silent alarm, camera, and security system in this building replaced. Tonight." "Yes, sir." Xavier hung up and walked back to the front. Tessa looked at him, confused. "You're not just some guy covering a shift, are you?" He met her eyes. "No. I'm the owner." She didn't say anything at first. Just stared. Then she stepped back and leaned on the counter like she was trying to stay upright. "Why didn't you say something?" "Because I needed to see it for myself. And I have." The front door opened. A man in a company jacket stepped inside, carrying a clipboard and a folder. Tessa blinked. "Who's that?" "That's the district operations lead," Xavier said. "He's got paperwork for you. You're getting Sunday off. And a promotion." Her mouth opened, but no words came. "You've been running this store without the title," Xavier said. "That's over." She looked down, then back at him. "You're serious?" "I'm not here to play pretend." The operations lead stepped forward. "Claire's been terminated." Effective immediately. We'll be placing a temporary manager until you're ready to take over full-time. Tessa looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under her. She sat down slowly, hands in her lap. Can I ask something? She said. Anything. Why now? Why tonight? Xavier answered without hesitation. Because tonight I saw what this place really is. And what it could be. Rain still fell outside, but inside the store, the silence had shifted. Not heavy. Not tense. Just quiet. Xavier stepped behind the counter and started wiping down the register. Not because it was dirty. Because he wasn't done yet. The sun had already risen by the time Xavier sat alone at the breakroom table, the morning light creeping through the narrow, grime-smeared window behind him. He'd sent Tessa home an hour earlier, insisting, not suggesting, after the operations lead confirmed her interim promotion and processed the final steps of Claire's termination. She hadn't argued, just looked at him with a strange mixture of disbelief and something close to relief. Then she'd walked out, hoodie pulled tight, barely glancing back. He stared at the laminated cleaning checklist on the wall. Half the boxes were permanently left blank. Claire's signature was scrawled across the bottom of multiple dates, initials that now meant nothing. Xavier stood, ran a hand over his face, and walked back out onto the floor. The replacement store manager was due to arrive that afternoon. Until then, he was staying on. Not as Rick. Just himself. The morning shift worker arrived at 6:30, a middle-aged man named Louis who'd been with the company for over a year. He paused when he saw Xavier behind the counter. Didn't expect to see you here, Louis said, slipping off his jacket. I didn't expect to be here either. Louis raised an eyebrow. Something happen? Xavier nodded once. It did. But it's being handled. Louis didn't push. Just clocked in and started checking the coffee machines. His movements were methodical, practiced. The way he restocked lids and sugar packets said more than words. You always this steady? Xavier asked. I do my part. Don't get involved in drama. You ever get asked how things are going? Louis shook his head. Not really. I figure no one's listening. I'm listening, Xavier said. Louis paused. Then I'll say this, we need 3 people minimum in the morning. Not 2. You get 1 register queue and 1 cooler spill, and you're behind all day. Xavier nodded. We'll fix that. It wasn't a promise made lightly. He'd already spoken with the regional scheduler about reallocating hours. The budget wasn't the issue, it never had been. It was the leadership. At just past 7, a woman walked in wearing a navy parka and carrying a clipboard. Her name tag read, Mallory. She was the new interim manager, pulled from one of the better performing stores 15 miles away. She walked the perimeter once, quiet and observant, then came behind the counter. You Xavier? She asked. Yeah. I was told to treat this like a reset. No cleanup crew. Just rebuild. That's exactly right. She studied him a second longer, then set the clipboard down. First thing I'm doing is reassigning keys. No one's getting backdoor access until I've met them. And I want every camera tested by sundown. You'll get full authority to make those calls, Xavier said. Mallory nodded. That'll help. A customer approached the counter with a bottle of windshield fluid, and Xavier stepped back to let Louis handle it. He watched how Louis greeted the man, counted change without hesitation, and offered a plastic bag without being asked. Mallory noticed. He's been consistent, she said. I've worked with him once before. You keep people like that. I plan to. Mallory opened her clipboard. I'll start with the schedule. Then I'll do a walkthrough with every employee. One-on-one. I want to know who's serious and who's just surviving. If anyone gives you trouble, you let me know directly. She nodded again, then disappeared into the back office. By 9, the store looked different. It wasn't cleaner, not yet, but it moved differently. Customers were greeted. Shelves were being restocked. Mallory had already pulled the outdated promotional signs and tossed them in a trash bag. Lewis was training a new part-timer who'd been transferred from another location. The kid was green but attentive. Xavier caught him glancing at the security monitors more than once. Good instincts. Around 10, a delivery truck pulled into the lot. The driver hopped out and moved to the back with practiced speed. Mallory met him there, clipboard in hand. She was already asking for the manifest and verifying counts before the first box hit the ground. Xavier let out a breath. For the first time in days, the pressure in his chest eased. He walked outside. The storm from the night before had cleared out, leaving the pavement mottled and steaming under the morning sun. A few cars passed by on the road, but the lot was calm. As he stood near Pump 6, a voice called out from behind. "You weren't kidding." He turned. Tessa stood there, dressed in jeans and a clean jacket, holding a warm drink in a paper cup. She looked like she'd actually slept. "I thought I told you to rest today," Xavier said. "You did. I slept 6 hours. That's a record." He managed a tired smile. "You didn't have to come back this soon." "I know. But I wanted to see it. While it's still real." They stood in silence for a moment. "Mallory's solid," Xavier said. "She'll get this place straight." Tessa nodded, sipping her drink. "I'll take the assistant role. I'm not ready to run the place." "Not yet." "That's fine. You'll grow into it." She looked at the storefront. "Feels different already." "It is." She hesitated. "Donnie texted me last night. Said he got fired without warning?" "He was warned. Multiple times. And he endangered people. That's not negotiable." "I figured," she said quietly. "Just wanted to hear you say it." Xavier looked at her. "You don't owe anyone an explanation for surviving." She didn't respond right away. Just looked out at the pumps, then back at the building. "I used to love this job," she said. "When I first started. It felt simple. Like I could just show up and be useful. Then it just wore me down. I let that happen," Xavier said. "I let distance turn into silence. That changes now." She glanced at him. "You staying involved? Weekly site visits. Anonymous audits. I'll rotate through locations every month. And none of it gets announced ahead of time." She let out a low whistle. "That'll shake people up." "Good." A car pulled in. A woman stepped out with 2 kids in the back seat. The younger one pointed at the ice cream freezer through the glass. Tessa smiled faintly. "I'll come back tomorrow. Start fresh. You'll have backup this time," Xavier said. "Proper coverage. Resources. And someone above you who listens." She gave a small nod, then turned to leave. As she walked away, Xavier stood still for a long moment, watching the store as the morning picked up. 2 customers at the register. 1 at the pumps. Mallory stepping out with a clipboard mid-call, already flagging a maintenance request. This was what it should have looked like all along. He walked back inside, not as an outsider anymore, but as someone who now understood what had been broken from the inside out. And more importantly, how to fix it. He didn't need to pretend to be Rick anymore. He just needed to be present.